Hello, fellow fantasy sports junkies, and welcome to MFSN's The Hub's Waiver Wire. I'm here with Fantasy Pros expert Andrew Seifter, and as always, Ross the Boss.
I'm Ross the Boss. Look at my shirt. I want to talk fantasy football with you, cowboy. And first of all, we're going to talk about quarterbacks. What do you guys think?
I hear that's an important position in football.
It is. Kind of. I'm reading Ross's shirt and necklace. It just says "Boss, Boss."
And you can buy this merchandise on our website. No, you can't buy it quite yet, but you will. Let's talk quarterbacks.
It's in the Hugo Boss line.
Let's talk quarterbacks. I'm excited about the week coming up. We got some great matchups. What do you guys think? Who's number one this week?
All right, I looked at these quarterbacks and I was so bored of them. It was like, if you had been going to an elementary school with like 10 kids and you went all the way through high school with them. I'm like, yes, I've seen these names before. But Ryan Tannehill has graduated. Justin Herbert has graduated. And even, Teddy Bridgewater still has not graduated because he's on my list. So I have
Gardner
as my
Minshew
number
has
one.
graduated. Yeah.
Minshew graduated.
50%.
That's right.
You're right. Gardner's over 50%.
Right.
Who's your number one this week? Go.
My number one is Fitzmagic because he's got the most upside of everybody because he runs.
He's on bye.
Wait, stop. He has a bye week this week. What are you talking about? We need somebody that's playing.
He's on bye?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well,
let me. What the hell you're giving me a player that I can't start? I need a player that's starting. Give me. I got you,
Ross. I'll take care of you, Ross.
It's Bridgewater.
Okay. Horrible advice.
It is. It's Teddy Bridgewater, and it's pretty clear.
I love Teddy Bridgewater. I've been saying this all year.
I was looking at the big picture, but yes, I hear.
Listen, I think that if you're streaming quarterbacks, that's what this is about. That's what this conversation's for. There's plenty of people that have an every week starter. They don't need to pick up a quarterback. You shouldn't have two quarterbacks on your roster most of the time. So we're really talking about the streamer people, which is a viable strategy in single QB leagues. It really is. So I would 95%. recommend, I would recommend if you are streaming quarterbacks this week, make sure you get Teddy Bridgewater because he's head and shoulders above any other option that's available this week. And the reason why is because the other quarterbacks that have good matchups really have not been playing very well. We're talking about Andy Dalton, who just put up a stinker on Monday night.
Monday night, I told you, Monday night, Andy Dalton's the death march.
Yeah, but with our offensive line in shambles, I don't really trust him. So even against Washington, it's not you can't really comfortably play him. And the same thing with Baker Mayfield. I mean, he gets Cincinnati, which is nice, but he's got those injured ribs. They're running that conservative offense. He made a lot of bad decisions against Pittsburgh. Granted, that's a much tougher matchup, but I just wouldn't feel that great having to rely on Andy Dalton or Baker Mayfield. Then there's guys like Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo who are playing really great. I like them, but they have awful matchups. Derek Carr's got to go up against Tampa Bay. That's a really good defense. And Jimmy Garoppolo's going to New England.
My number one is Derek Carr
Teddy.
This week. My taking Derek Carr is number one just because he had a bye week. He has a week to prepare. And I know people love Tampa Bay and their defense. Look what they did against, Green Bay. But I don't think that matters. I feel that Derek Carr, if you need a quarterback this week, like a quick plug, he's the plug-in. And I think
Carr has been playing great. I mean, he's got 11 touchdowns, and I think he's
he's my pick as number one.
I like him a lot more if you're looking longer term. Than
it's not long term. If you're in a league and you're hoping that we're giving you a quarterback to take,
it's true. None of these guys are long term.
You lost. I mean, you lost.
There's only one guy. There's only one guy out there who is a long-term pickup.
Who is it?
Tua. It's Tua.
Tua's not going to play this year.
I just don't. I think in a single quarterback league, there's just not really any point in stashing a guy like Tua. I mean, there's going to be quarterbacks.
No, you're right.
Constantly,
look, I was not recommending him. I'm just saying he's the only guy with that kind of talent. I have Bridgewater. Then there's Carr.
Okay.
I think Cousins. I
like
next.
Cousins. You're right. I do like Cousins.
Well, who's Cousins get this coming week? Who are they playing?
I'll tell you who he's matched up with. He's matched up with Justin Jefferson. It doesn't matter where he goes.
Moving on up to the big time. Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
get it?
I mean,
Jefferson.
look, that's basically it. Who else do you have there? I don't even know who's out there now.
Well, I just told you my five, but
Cousins.
Cousins
go back to Cousins. Cousins has a bye week, so he's not playing this week. Another one of your genius moves that a waste of my time.
I must have pressed a button wrong.
What
listen,
are you doing?
I know this, Ross. Give me a break. I'm tired. I clicked the wrong button.
Wrong button.
It did not reveal it.
So number 1, Derek Carr. Number 2 is Jimmy G. I feel he had a great game last weekend against the Rams. If you need a quarterback next week, Jimmy G's your guy. It's not a bad start. You can do it if you want. It's just one game.
I'm shocked. You've been the Bridgewater guy the whole time. Finally, you sense the top, and you don't even have.
You got to go with Bridgewater.
I like Carr, and I like Carr, and I like Jimmy G better than Bridgewater this week.
I don't want to trust Jimmy G or Carr in those matchups. I mean, the thing about Bridgewater is he's been pretty good too, and he's facing New Orleans, which I mentioned the stat last week, and it's still true. They've given up at least 3 touchdowns to every single quarterback they've played this season.
In the football league this year, how high these scores are, and how it's the highest ever for the first 6 weeks in the history of the NFL football, that the points have been this type of totals. It's a record, and it's just going to get worse. I mean, these defenses are getting eaten alive. I mean, all these defenses are giving up a lot of points. Even the great ones. The only defense that's holding up is basically
is the team that's playing the Jets.
I think Baltimore,
like I called last week.
I think Baltimore's averaging 15 points a game against their defenses is giving up 15 points a game, and I think that's it. Everybody else is like.
Nah, man. There's 10 defenses I just generally don't want to play for streamers. Tampa Bay and New England are both on that list.
We'll see what happens.
So, yeah.
Let's
move on to running backs.
Let's move on to running backs.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's talk running backs. Go.
How are you approaching this position, Andrew? How are you approaching running backs this week?
I don't think it's the greatest week at running back. I wouldn't blow all my fad budget this week on anybody. I don't think. There's a few injuries that we have to talk about here. We had Raheem Mostert is on IR now. He's going to be out at least 3 weeks. The problem is we don't really know who's going to be that running back in San Francisco. Whoever it is going to be useful, but it could be McKinnon, who's over 50% owned, or it could be Jermichael Hasty, the undrafted rookie who got some run this last week, or it could be Jeff Wilson. So that's not my top priority. If I had to pick one guy, I'm going back to Justin Jackson, who's still under 50% owned.
Barely. He's 48%. I mean,
46%, sir. And he took over that job. He moved ahead of Joshua Kelly last week. And as I said, the Chargers can support 2 running backs. So I feel like he's a pretty safe play for at least a few weeks and possibly the entire season.
He also catches passes, so he's got he's got an.
How about JB McKissick? What do you think about him, Andrew? Let's talk.
He's a PPR Washington specialist. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
let's talk about how I talked about McKissick when I told you guys I had him in my dynasty league, and you guys laughed me out of the room.
We did laugh.
He's a waiver wire pickup.
That was a great joke. I was laughing. I was laughing all night.
The thing about McKissick is he has no upside though. I mean, he's like a PPR full point PPR flex play in a deep league.
Okay, how about this? How about just in case Tony Pollard? The backup for the Dallas Cowboys.
Tony Pollard, yeah. He got 10 carries tonight because Zeke kept fumbling. So.
I saw that, and I was thinking in my mind, I'm going to bring him up during our waiver wire show just because I feel maybe Zeke's not going to – maybe he'll get hurt. Maybe he doesn't want to play because
I think he's lost focus. I think the Dak injury has thrown the whole Cowboys into disarray.
Well, I think he's feeling pressure too because it all falls on Zeke's shoulders if that passing game – can't get going, and their defense is terrible.
Just so you guys remember, I said that Devin Cook's going to get hurt. What did Ross the Boss say?
Who's Devin Cook?
The guy from Minnesota.
Devin Cook.
Devin Cook. Devin Cook, I think, I forgot it. But basically, I told everybody to pick up Alexander Madison.
Yeah, and then Madison, I told them the same thing, Ross. The problem was Madison fell flat last week.
I saw that.
Now they're on bye, and then Cook's going to be back. But Madison should still be owned. Pollard should still be owned. I agree. Pollard made my list. I think he's probably the highest upside handcuff has low ownership rate.
What's the situation with Boston Scott, though?
Yeah, no, Boston Scott is a higher priority pickup for sure this week. I actually put him right behind Justin Jackson as my top pickup. Miles Sanders is out 1 to 2 weeks. So they play on Thursday night, so there's no way he's going to play in that game. So you're going to get at least one game where you can start Boston Scott as maybe we don't know exactly. Corey Clement's going to be involved too, so maybe Scott's like a low-end RB2 kind of thing, but he's a plug-and-play option. And then you might possibly get 2 weeks out of him if Sanders takes a little longer to heal. So,
So we're starting. So is Scott number one, or is Who's number one running back this week?
If you need a play for this week,
we both have Justin Jackson. But what about you?
Justin Jackson. Okay.
Yeah, if you need someone like longer term, I think Jackson has more sustainable value than Scott. But if you're just if you say you have like 3 awesome running backs and one of them's on bye this week, then maybe it makes sense to go with Scott, because then you plug him in for 1 week and then he loses his value, but it's okay because you've got 3 other guys that are really good anyway. So it kind of depends on your team a little bit.
Speaking of lottery picks, though, there's one other guy that's been emerging lately. Jeremy Mcnichols, I think, is a guy that you may want to pick up if you got room on your bench. This is a team that is just dominating. And if Henry went down, Mcnichols would be a beast.
They got nobody else.
Is Evans
right
the backup or is McNichols?
Yeah, Evans is on IR.
Well, Evans is on IR.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. That's why I ask.
Yep. No, I agree.
So McNichols is a good pickup. I mean, Henry's just a beast. I mean, 200 yards. I mean, this guy.
Insane.
I mean, this guy. He's going to be the.
Guess who was facing him last week?
You.
I was too.
Derrick Henry's going to be the number 1 pick next year in fantasy football. That's my prediction. You heard it here first from Ross the Boss. Let's talk about.
Wait, no. We're not moving on yet. I got one more guy for you.
Tell me what team he's on. I'll tell you who it is. Go.
Okay, well that makes it easy. He's on the Baltimore Ravens.
JB Dawkins. Who is it?
No. Dobbins is already over 50% owned, but Gus the Bus Edwards is not. And Mark Ingram got injured. They have a bye this coming week, but Ingram is questionable for week 8. So Edwards is already sort of carving out a bigger role than people expected in that backfield. But as a 3-headed monster, it was hard to rely on any of them. But if it's 2 guys with that offense, with how much they can move the ball on the ground, suddenly I think Gus Edwards is a really interesting option, because he's the more likely guy to get that between the tackles work.
I like it. I like it.
So I think he could have some RB2
and the goal line carries
appeal potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, this is one thing that you might want to keep in mind. I know, I screwed up on the QB streamer buy. Seriously, I don't know what happened. I pushed the wrong button. But you do want to take advantage of bye weeks when you're looking at who to pick up, because, it's just like you said, Andrew. You might be able to get somebody cheaper because they're on bye, but it doesn't mean they're not going to have value. If you think they're going to have value coming out of the bye, grab them.
Yep, and actually when we do these rankings and I look through Yahoo and look at the ownership rates, I'll often find a player that's like pretty darn good that's under 50%, and the only reason why is because they were on bye this last week and people just had roster crunches and they had to let them go. When we, let's move to wide receiver. I've got one guy that fits that criteria.
So the number one wide receiver this week, hands down, is who's under 50%. Is Claypool.
I don't know how he's under 50%.
Yeah, I don't either. It's crazy.
Chase is number 1. He's not my number 1. I'm sure he's all you guys. He's the real deal. He's Canadian and he went to Notre Dame. He's a guy you got to reckon with. Another guy I like. I told you this last week. He was on a bye week, but he's still under 50%. And you guys laughed at me as Ruggs. I love Ruggs.
We didn't laugh at you. We said he was
kidding.
Good.
For a fact, I say that.
All right.
Fact.
I keep track of laughs.
So Ruggs for me, he's number 2. Number 3, it's getting kind of iffy, but you guys are going to laugh at me about this one, but I like this guy, and he had a touchdown last week. James Washington for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think that's solid.
That one I'm going to disagree on
that
one.
Neither of those guys are on my list.
I just feel Smith, whatever his name is, he is not.
Trade him.
He is not being focused.
You can't get anything for Juju right now. You can't trade him.
Well,
listen, as a Juju owner, I was crying into my buffalo wings last week. Listen, I agree with you that Claypool is clearly the number 1 guy. He's clearly surpassed Juju at this point. Even once Deontay Johnson comes back, Claypool's going to have that sustainable value. But James Washington, that's pushing it too far. I mean, I still think when Deontay Johnson's back, Washington's 4th on that depth chart. So I would much rather go with guys like Travis Fulgham with the Eagles and Christian Kirk, who exploded on Monday Night.
I didn't even bring him up because I was so on him last week.
I know you got to stay on him, Ross. Got to stay. He's only 39% owned right now.
He had like 3 targets and 2 catches for 86 yards.
That
scares the heck out of me.
He's a boomer bust guy.
I do like Patrick for Denver. I feel he's getting a lot of targets. I think he's somebody that you should consider picking up if you're kind of weak at wide receiver this week.
Fulgham and Patrick were two guys that I was on earlier.
Fulgham.
Yeah,
Last week, I was
but
the only one who had Fulgham on my list.
Yeah, but keep in mind with Patrick, I like Patrick too, but
Fulgham.
keep in mind they've got KJ Hamler and Noah Fant coming back, so he's going to have more competition for targets. He made my list too, but he's towards the back of it.
The Eagles are getting back their two best receivers too very soon.
Well, but the Eagles' depth chart, I think, I think Fulgham could actually stay at the top of that depth chart. We'll see. I mean, I like, I have Deshaun Jackson and Jalen Reagor stashed some places. But, I mean, we're now talking 3 weeks in a row where Fulgham's been good. So I don't think they're necessarily going to go away from him.
And if Wentz has a rapport with him at this point, there's no reason to go away from him.
And their schedule gets. I actually have Wentz stashed in one league where I'm lost Dak Prescott and I'm scrambling to find a quarterback because their schedule in the second half of the season is very friendly for the pass. So I think that might be a good place to look for value.
Let me make this one point. You're scrambling for a quarterback. Some people do like to keep two quarterbacks. I understand your strategy of one quarterback, but the reason that I think you do sometimes pick up even these streamer plays like Fitzpatrick, who can also run, it's helpful to have if you can handle it on your roster.
Dan, it depends on if it's a 12-person league, 16, 10. If it's 10-person league, you don't need to have two quarterbacks.
10. No. A 10-person league.
12,
I don't play in 10-person leagues, so I don't even know.
Unless you have really,
10's the most common amount of people 10's the most common, just so you know.
It's not only, it doesn't just matter the number of teams, it's also how deep the benches are. If you play in a standard size 12-team league with the benches aren't that deep, I really don't think you need to, you don't want to roster two quarterbacks because the Dak Prescott injury was crushing, but that's rare. I mean, quarterbacks don't get injured very often. So if you've got a stud quarterback, one of those like elite top 5, top 10 guys, you're using them every single week.
Every week, except so 1 week. You have a bye week.
That's for sure.
And if you listen to Ross the Boss, you'll still win your week if you pick up the right quarterback, like I said earlier.
But I do want to mention one other receiver that we to circle back to the conversation about guys that get forgotten on the bye week, and that would be Mike Williams with the Chargers.
Yes, he was my last one on the list.
I like Mike Williams a lot. That's a good example of bye week. Everybody forgot about him. No one picked him up, and all of a sudden now he's available.
Yeah,
and he had
you guys named all of mine.
Yards.
And I brought this up before, but the guy already has a 1,000-yard season on his resume. He's already got a 10-touchdown season on his resume, and now he's playing with Justin Herbert, who's got that firecracker of an arm, can throw the ball down the field really well. So I think
that's
Williams
a big difference.
He
had been playing with Phillip Rivers, kind of short arming the ball for a while.
Yep.
And this is a guy that can really. He can go deep. You could be starting him every week from here on out, depending. Could be iffy this week because you don't know what you're going to get. But if he performs this week, I wouldn't hesitate to play him the rest of the season.
And is Keenan Allen healthy? I mean, he didn't play 3/4 of the game last time he played.
Yeah, he had a back thing. I think he's going to be okay.
Back or neck thing. So I don't know if I don't know his health situation. But if he's not playing,
see me. I'm a back doctor.
But if he's not playing, guess who's the number one receiver? Mike Williams.
Yeah.
So, and I think they can both put up numbers either way. So it's a great. He's definitely a strong pickup.
I think it's a great pickup.
This is the second week in a row where I feel like wide receiver is kind of the place where you can find the most value on the wire this week.
Running backs,
absolutely. There were 5 good ones this time. I have Christian Kirk 5th, even though he had that big performance. He didn't have a lot of targets, just like Ross said.
Well, they didn't have to throw the ball much.
Let's talk about tight ends.
True, tight ends. Well, for me, the number one has been Dallas Goddard for a long time. He's still not above 50%.
He's not, and Ertz is out for 4 weeks. Ertz is out.
Yeah, well, he's going to go over 50% because Ertz is out now.
But they have a bye week coming up, right? They're not.
Yeah, well, no, they don't they're not on bye this week. It's going to be interesting, actually. The Eagles are on bye in week 9. So they got 2 games before the bye, and Ertz is now eligible to come off IR this week. But just because a lot of times
Dallas.
I mean Goddard. Sorry,
Goddard,
not Ertz.
Yeah.
So once Goddard is activated off IR, it sets a 3-week timetable for when they actually can get him onto the game day roster.
Right.
So I don't know if I would guess he's probably not going to play this week because they play on Thursday night. And then the question is, do they bring him back in week 8 when it's 1 week before the bye, or do they just give him that extra week, make sure he gets fully healthy? So we may not actually see Goddard until week 10. It's possible. But still, I would agree with
still
you.
your
He's
number
the
one
top
pick.
pickup because, especially if you're a team that's already looking like you're going to make the playoffs and you're weak at tight end, I mean, he's going to be a top 10 tight end come fantasy playoff time.
I mean,
I agree.
Somebody I loved at tight end who I picked up last week because I was just tired of Higbee getting like 2 points every week for like 5 weeks in a row. I picked up Darren Fells for Houston, and he was money last week, and I feel Watson is throwing to the tight ends a lot more, and this guy could be good. I mean, he's a big kid.
Well, actually, it's a good point also because, I mean, we have to remember when DeAndre Hopkins left that team, a lot of targets opened up.
Yeah, my one concern with Fells is always the status of Jordan Akins because when he's healthy, you just don't know which of those guys is going to pop in the box score any given week. So it's a real dice roll, even more than tight ends usually
one that
are.
Andrew, the one you love, had a touchdown over the weekend is Logan Thomas. You do love him, and he did have a good game last week.
Are you being sarcastic? Or
no? I thought you liked him.
No, I'm not. I've never been a big Logan Thomas guy.
I've never heard him. That's why I was like, did Ross and Andrew and Logan?
Maybe you're thinking of Casey or
discussion that I didn't know about.
Logan's, but even if you're not, I feel the Redskins.
Maybe it was Casey.
Yeah, I said it again. I feel the team of Washington.
The team who shall not be named.
Yeah, I just feel that he's a good target. If you need a tight end quickly, he could be a good
He's been getting a
fill-in.
lot of targets, speaking of being a good target. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't have him in my top 5, though. My number
neither.
2
let me hear.
is Ferkser. I don't even know his first name, but
Anthony.
He's on the.
He went to Harvard.
Tony. I call him Tony because I know him well.
Tony from Harvard.
Tony Ferkser. He went to Harvard. Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
listen,
no. Evan
plays
Silva turned me on to Ferkser like over a year ago. He's a good athlete. And yeah, I mean, I guess the question is just Jonnu Smith's status because if Jonnu Smith plays, you can't use Ferkser. But if he doesn't play, Ferkser it can be.
I'm just saying,
option.
in comparison to everybody else who's out there other than Goddard, I have him number 2 because he's got the most upside and he could really carry you for certain weeks.
My number 2 is a guy who is on bye this week, so you got to be patient. But Irv Smith. Yes, Irv Smith is taking off. Irv Smith for liftoff.
We
the
talked
guy
about
is
him
so
last
talented.
week.
It's Irv Smith Jr. You call him Jr. Very important. You mentioned Irv Smith Jr.
Well, is his father still? Is his father in the league?
Father
Are we worried about picking up the wrong Irv Smith?
His father's in the practice squad for the Eagles.
But yeah, no, he's an incredibly talented player, and Minnesota's passing game is trending upwards right now. So he's clearly the third option in the passing game behind those stud receivers they've got there. So I think he's clearly my number 2 behind Goddard, and then the third guy I don't feel as confident about, but the Colts love their tight ends, and right now that tight end that they love is Trey Burton.
I love Trey Burton. He actually threw a touchdown. He threw a touchdown pass, didn't he, over the weekend too?
Did he throw one or run for one? I can't remember. He had something other than a catch for sure.
He ran for one.
Yeah,
he ran for one. Okay.
Yeah. He had 2 touchdowns altogether, but he's Mo Cox was out last week, so that helped his cause. But even before that, he was playing a lot more snaps than Cox and Jack Doyle. So he's kind of the one. They brought him in as a free agent acquisition in the offseason, so they built their game plan around getting him involved. And we know whoever's getting snaps at tight end for the Colts tends to put up some numbers. So he's not an exciting pickup, but if you're scrambling at the position, I think he'll at least have a pretty solid floor.
All right, then let's see if you guys. Oh, you have more?
I do.
Very deep in tight end.
Well, no. So because I don't think Goddard's going to play this week and Ertz is out, that leaves the question: is who's the tight end in Philadelphia? It's Richard Rodgers, who you might remember catching passes
the tight
from Aaron
end now,
Rodgers
dog?
In Green Bay.
Sorry, I had to say it.
Right, he was Green Bay guy, right?
Yeah, so now he's with the Eagles, and we know the story with Philadelphia. They're starving for pass catching options all the time. All their receivers are injured all the time. So I think it's possible, especially on the short week, we may not get an Alshon Jeffrey back this week. We may, Deshaun Jackson, who knows?
That's a good call.
So Richard Rodgers could end up seeing 7 targets this week.
Richard Rodgers may be picked up on my team. You never know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, I want to see
kickers quickly.
Well, we need to do defenses really quickly,
defense,
too. We'll run through them fast. I just want to see if you guys have the same top defense as me. I have the Chargers number 1 because They're facing Jacksonville at home, but they also have Denver next week. So they've got 2 matchups in a row where they could be useful.
I have the Chargers number 2.
I have them at the top.
I have Chargers number 2.
I have them number 2 also, but I could see the argument for number 1 if you're and I actually think they have a good I forget who they play after Denver, but I think they have 3 good matchups in a row, actually. And they're also just a very talented defense. They've sort of underperformed so far, but Melvin Ingram's just got activated.
Remember, Mostert's hurt. You got James is hurt. You got some injuries on that team.
You do, but they have a few of their key defenders coming back this week.
I know, but you still got some injuries.
So I bet I know who your number 1 is then. You probably both have the same one.
I'm going with the Eagles.
I'm going with the Eagles.
Yeah.
And the reason why is they're playing the Giants. Daniel Jones is an interception machine. There'll be a lot of turnovers in that game, and I feel that at least the Eagles will get at least 1 touchdown. Their defense in that.
It's also the Thursday night game, and there's usually less offense. A lot of Thursday
pressure.
Night games on the short week.
A lot of pressure.
Just,
Daniel Jones.
We know this is going to be an ugly game.
Oh, it's going to be ugly and bad. But we'll take.
Right, any other defenses to recommend?
I mean, as I mentioned, the defenses this year, there's like 5 good, solid defenses that you should keep every week. If you have one of these 5.
You know who's underrated, though?
Who?
I just want to say this.
I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Washington's defense. Washington's defense is...
I agree. I'm not going to...
They're underrated.
You apart.
Everyone thought they were just going to be just complete garbage.
I'm not disagreeing, but there's 5 good defenses. If you have it, you have one of those 5 defenses, Pittsburgh, Baltimore... it used to be San Francisco, but they're...
I thought the Colts were a good defense, but they really let me down.
The Eagles carved them up pretty well.
The Colts have pulled the Bills.
I like Tampa Bay. I like the Bills still, even though they haven't been...
New England, always good.
But here's the thing. These are all good defenses, but I'm very matchup focused on defense. I don't... There are very few defenses I will play
against. I keep calling
against
whoever's playing the Jets.
Like, I won't play any defense against, like, a Kansas City. Or,
I'll play Baltimore. Baltimore, to me, is the best defense in the league. If you have Baltimore, you keep Baltimore's defense.
I play Baltimore against anybody.
I wouldn't cut them, but I might consider a different option if they have a particularly awful matchup.
I would keep Tampa Bay's defense, too. I like the Bears' defense also. I feel the Bears could be
You've named way more than 5 here, Ross.
Okay,
so
well, I'm just...
I
got to name some names.
Ross loves a lot of teams.
But I'm saying is, you don't have one of those teams I mentioned... You should just week by week. You pick up the Eagles. You pick up
now
Chargers.
I think Dallas is facing Washington, so they're a terrible defense. But you can against Kyle Allen, you can roll the dice.
There you go.
This is very exciting, guys. We're gonna pick kickers, and this week we're gonna have a kicker come on our show.
And Matt Prater is my number 1 kicker this week. So I'm taking our guests.
I have him 1, 2, and 3.
So
is he under 50% owned? That's a sacrilege.
So pick up Prater. Is
he actually under 50%?
I don't think so.
He's 34%. Yeah, he is. Go look it up.
I think he is because he's on the line.
Andrew, go look it up.
Okay. Are they on bye this week? Is that why?
No, they're playing it's a great matchup they have. Do you want to hear the matchup?
Who are they playing?
They're playing the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh.
Which is a great matchup.
Okay, Prater's my number 1 too then.
Yeah, yes. So Prater's going to be on the show Saturday, so make sure everybody watches.
All right, next I have Gostkowski. I know Pittsburgh's really good on defense, but sometimes that translates into field goals. I think that's going to be a field goal fest. We got 2 great teams. They're going to be really going at it. I think both kickers should be in your top 3. Oh, except there's Elliott against the Giants.
I mean, Elliott's my number 2, just so you know. This
is exactly what my point is about kickers. I would never waste a roster spot on any of these guys during the week. Yeah. I mean, this is a coin flip. My top 5.
I love this theory.
Other than Prater, I don't like these other guys. I have totally different guys than you guys. I have Tyler Bass with Buffalo because they're going to be big favorites against the Jets. I got Michael Badgley with the Chargers. They're big favorites against Jacksonville. Mason Crosby with Green Bay. That's going to be a shootout against Houston. Lots of points. Sam Sloman, the Rams, going to be big favorites over Cincinnati.
These guys are
and Ryan Succumb with the Bucks.
Yeah, but I think
just to be clear,
there's 3 or 4
anyone who's
kickers,
watching, don't pick up all 6 of those kickers.
No,
just choose one.
I'm just saying, don't overthink it. You have no idea the chances of any of these guys being better than another is like 50-50.
If you have Lutz, you have
Yeah,
the Baltimore
I agree.
kicker. There's like 4 or 5 kickers I would keep on my team every week. I totally disagree with you.
I have Zerline, who you would probably have called one of those kickers, and he just put up
not
4
against
points
Dalton.
for me.
I wouldn't start him tonight with Dalton quarterback. I
don't. I
Ross
think
called
you're
one.
hurting
you
your.
about Dalton, and you laughed at me. So
We'll
don't
continue
lie.
this conversation with Matt Prater, but I think
But
that you're
Dalton's
hurting your
awful.
team by doing that.
All right, listen. You got Andrew cuts his kickers regularly. I have dabbled in that theory quite a bit myself, and probably still will. But speaking of cutting people, it's that time of year where it's time to cut bait on some people. I have been saying it is time to cut AJ Green for weeks. It is.
You're gonna cut him after he finally had a good game.
AJ Green.
Yeah, he had a great game. He had like 90.
Did he? I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice. He's so
He
far off
did.
my radar. I didn't even pay attention.
He had a
What
great.
did he
He
do?
didn't have a touchdown, but he had like 90.
All right,
He had
fine.
96
don't
yards,
cut him yet,
11
I guess,
targets.
11 targets. AJ is going to have a touchdown
I
next
still
week.
Don't believe it.
You still don't like him, huh?
Well, hey,
That's
no,
okay.
No, I mean, look, that makes me think that maybe you should trade him. If he had a big game, then you don't just waste that talent. See if you can get something for him. I don't think you're going to get much out of AJ Green myself.
I don't really disagree.
The biggest cut that I see of over 50% owned, though, and maybe you guys will totally disagree with me because he's got a better role now, but I think Le'Veon Bell is just done. I don't see.
Wow, you think they should
value in
cut
him.
Le'Veon Bell?
I would
think they should
I
do
would
exactly
No.
what the Jets did.
I would wait.
No.
I would wait and see how he premieres with Kansas City.
Oh my gosh, don't cut Le'Veon
He's a big
Bell.
No, listen.
receiver.
No, let me
He's-
be clear. Let me be clear about this.
I don't know.
I don't recommend cutting him, but I do predict
Well,
he's
yes,
going
that's
to be
the
worthless.
that's the name of the game. It's called cut. So
Well,
you don't cut him.
I think
Look,
that
I would be comfortable cutting him because I think he's going to be
okay,
worthless.
so
listen. I think that after that huge game that Clyde Edwards-Helaire just had today, Bell's role is a little less certain, but still, I think it could go either way as the season progresses. Which of those guys gets more work, and that's such an incredible situation. I mean, even if he was the clear backup to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think he would be worth owning.
I don't have any argument with keeping him. I'm just
Listen,
saying he's the
if you have
point.
Bill on your roster right now, you're not cutting him before he premieres with the Kansas City Chiefs. You're not that stupid.
No.
For the
Maybe you
Jets.
could trade him. You could probably trade him.
You could probably trade him.
It sounds like if you owned
You
him, again,
have
I would
him.
say you should trade him.
My curiosity factor.
I would
is
always
so
try to
high
trade him
with him
first.
right now. I mean, I don't have him in any league because I don't like the guy. But that all being said, I'm curious to see what he does at Kansas City. He could be.
Yeah,
Could
I think
be a
he
great
starts as the
receiver.
backup. Maybe getting like 10 touches a week or something like that. But he could outplay Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, that's totally
the guy who
within the
should
realm of
cut is
possibility.
Damian Williams for Kansas City. He's
Or
his
Daryl
job-
Williams, you mean?
Daryl
Damian
Williams.
Williams opted out of the
You
season.
should
so-
cut Damian Williams
Yeah.
also.
Well, yeah, but Daryl Williams.
Daryl Williams is his
career
although
is over
He did
with.
score today, but yeah,
I saw that,
Yeah,
but
He
that's going to
scored
be
and he
Le'Veon
ran for
Bell.
good numbers, and he's younger. Bell
and he's
is
also.
not gonna
I don't
work.
think he's over 50% owned either, so it doesn't do us
I
any good
know.
here.
Who-
Let me
who-
give you
who
guys.
else?
Let me give you guys some big names to cut. All
I'll give
right,
you
you
some
ready
names
for
too.
this?
Go.
All right, Zach Ertz. Bye. He's out for a month. He's been terrible
Great one.
anyway.
Love it.
Just give up on Zach Ertz.
Love
it's
it.
not. It's just not happening. The guy's washed. I'm going with Marvin Jones. It pains me a little bit because the guy used to be so underrated, but now he's just washed. So
Now
he's
he's
had under
appropriately
10
rated.
yards the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's just not
I have him
happening
on
for
my cut
Marvin.
list also.
They're not a big passing
Okay, who
offense
else?
anymore.
I'll give you two.
T.Y. Hilton. T.Y.
he's on my
Hilton.
list.
Goodbye. Here's
Yep,
a
I
stat
have
about
T.Y.
T.Y. Hilton that
And
I
I
saw
hate
He
from
didn't have a
Adam
touchdown. He
Levitan.
didn't
Not
have a
as a
touchdown. They
person.
took it away from him. Just so you know, I watched
T.Y.
that game.
Hilton, I got this stat from Adam Levitan a few weeks ago on Twitter. He
Adam
hasn't had over 87 yards receiving
know,
in
I
any
know this
game since
stat.
Andrew Luck retired.
Wow, Adam Levitan, he comes up with gems.
You don't like him, huh? Okay.
He's hated on this show. We can't stand Adam Levitan.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't get the
you
memo.
didn't get
there.
the memo on that?
I just
Dan
try to.
Sanders?
I just
Get
try
with
to
the program.
do. I try to cite people when I cite their stats. I try to give them credit. I think that's the right thing.
Okay,
to
who
do.
else is on your list? How about Golden Tate? Did he make the list?
He's not over 50%
No,
owned.
he's
I
not.
don't think. No.
How about any
Do
running
your
back?
homework,
Tate
Ross.
doesn't
Come
make the
on.
list.
How about any running back for the Baltimore Ravens is cut on my list? How do you like that? Any running back?
I
Even
just told
Dobbins?
people to pick up Gus
Yeah,
Edwards.
go on,
Oh,
bye-bye.
don't drop Dobbins either.
Bye. See
No.
ya. Anybody on Baltimore's running back backfield, I would cut.
No, here's I don't think I
I
don't
would
really
own
think
any
I don't really want to
Baltimore
cut running
back
backs.
over Le'Veon Bell.
I don't want to cut running backs unless they're like third string or they're on a
I'm
team
saying over
that's
50%.
terrible.
These are people over 50%. If I needed to.
How about the Patriots running backs? I keep telling everybody they're completely worthless. Damian Harris and James White both own over 50%.
Oh, I would
have no problem cutting them for the right people.
Those guys are gone. Those guys are gone too. Yeah,
I wouldn't have a huge problem cutting them. But James White has actually produced like low end RB2 numbers the last couple seasons, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. And Damian Harris could get like 20 touches this coming week, so I don't know. They wouldn't be my top choices. I would rather get rid of guys like Eric Ebron. It's just not happening. Don't carry 2 tight ends if you're not going to start them.
Yeah, but
don't.
I
carry
mean, I
him.
totally agree, but I think I was looking for guys that would be surprising cuts.
Well, I mentioned Zach Ertz, Marvin Jones, and
no.
Mahomes.
You did well, but
Patrick
Ebron
Mahomes.
to me isn't. You cut Patrick Mahomes. No, here's another guy that I have that I don't. Maybe it's not surprising, but I do not understand how Deebo Samuel is owned 74%. The guy
had a
has
really
just
good
never
game
produced.
too.
And
he's had a good game.
Well, listen, I can't help it if I didn't watch the games this past week, which I didn't.
Let's cut Debo. Debo's cut. That's a good one. Let's keep going.
No, Sammy Watkins. Cut Sammy Watkins.
He's out
for a few weeks, and guess what? He wasn't even good when he was playing.
But again, this is not tough. I don't.
Well,
I mean,
it's not about tough. We're trying to find players that people can trim the fat off their roster. These are guys that are owned in over 50% of leagues.
That
means there's a lot of people that have them on their roster. Get rid of them.
No.
Listen,
We're not trying to do hot take central here, Dan. We're trying to help people out.
These are not hot takes.
Derrick Henry, I'm not cutting as much as you want me to cut Derrick Henry. I'm not going to do it, Dan. So
wait, these are not hot takes. What I'm telling you is, yes, you can cut players like you're saying, and you nailed a lot of good ones that are similar to what I'm saying. You just don't agree with what I'm saying.
Well, what do you say? I don't understand what you're saying. Go ahead. Enlighten me.
Well, to me, Le'Veon Bell is, if you're going to cut Zach Ertz, cutting Le'Veon Bell is barely any different.
I totally disagree. I disagree.
I think
you watch. Let's see.
Watch the premiere.
Let's see how he does.
You're missing the point. It's not even about. It's not. Listen, Le'Veon Bell has opportunity right in front of him right now. We don't know. It's in the whims of Andy Reid whether he gets 5 touches or 15 touches in a great offense.
No,
it's
that's
up to
totally
one man.
fair.
It's
That's
up to
totally
one
fair.
man. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire twists an ankle, all of a sudden you've got an RB1. So that's value. Whereas Zach Ertz has had tons of opportunity with all their receivers hurt. He's still put up less than 10 yards each week. He's 30 years old. He's injured for a month. It's not comparable.
What's Le'Veon Bell's yards per carry the last 2 years?
It's awful. He hasn't had a 100-yard game in years. That's not the point. What we're saying he's in a different place right now.
I just think he's washed up. That's all I'm
Andy
saying.
Reid as his coach, and he loves throwing to the running backs. And what Le'Veon Bell does, he catches the ball. He doesn't like running with the ball. He loves catching and running the ball. He's a beast. Let's see how he does in Kansas City. Give him a chance. You don't want to cut him right now. It's not the right time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to see vintage Le'Veon Bell.
You don't agree. You said you want to cut him. What are you talking about?
No,
cut him now.
I said, if you're looking for a guy that would be a surprising cut that you really could do and probably won't hurt yourself, it's him.
No, it's not.
Or you'll kill yourself. It's one or the other. Because if he ends up being the lead back in Kansas City, either because of an injury or because Andy Reid wants him to, then you're cutting a guy that could be a league winner. I mean, even if he is not nearly as good as he used to be, it's such an incredible situation. Like a guy that doesn't have that much left in the tank can still be good in that situation.
I think you hold him for a week. But if you're not seeing it,
let's see how he does when he gets to play. Let's just watch.
I'm not cutting the handcuff in Kansas City. I thought Daryl Williams was worth owning. I certainly think Le'Veon Bell.
I'm not disagreeing.
I think Daryl Williams is still worth owning.
Listen to me.
I think Daryl Williams
Reid
is the
likes
handcuff.
what Reid likes to do, he likes to rest some of his players because Kansas City is going to be in the playoffs, correct? They'll probably win their division. He doesn't want to risk any injury with the starting running back, so he'll put Bell out there. Go out there and play as much as get some handoffs. Go ahead, kid. So he'll do that
I agree.
the starter
I just don't
doesn't
think
get
he's
hurt.
do anything with it.
And you know that's going to matter a lot during the playoff season in fantasy football. Bell's going to be, I predict he'll at least have 2 touchdowns in one of those weeks. You heard it from me first. I'm Ross the Boss. And you know that's true because you know he'll bench a lot of his guys. I doubt that he'll start Patrick Mahomes at the end of the season. I think their backup's going to start at least one of the games. You know,
Depends.
God, I hope that doesn't
if
happen in
home field
week
advantage is
16.
I
That
think
will
it
ruin
will.
a lot of
And
fantasy
I'm just
teams.
telling you, you better have some backups ready to start when Mahomes gets benched because they clinched their playoff spot. I'm just telling you, because that happens, and we'll talk about that later in November. Ross the Boss, we'll have a whole thing on it. And I'm telling you, people get screwed at the end just because of coaches wanting to rest their players. And you know I'm right. Admit it.
Oh no, it happens. It happens every season. You got to start looking out for it.
You do.
Weeks
And
15 and especially 16.
Clinching. I mean, if Kansas City clinches home field advantage and there's no reason to play the following week, you really think Packers?
No, there's gonna be teams who will end up starting Chad Henne because
The only
they're gonna
saving grace is that
Yeah.
if you survive to week 16, you're in your fantasy championship game, which means there's only one other team in your league that's paying attention anymore. So you're going to have a lot of options for picking players up.
Guys, here's a quiz question. You brought his name up. Chad Henne. Who makes more money, Chad Henne or Cam Newton?
Sounds like Chad Henne is the answer.
Chad Henne.
I'm guessing Chad Henne. Yeah.
Well, he did go to Michigan, so I
makes
support
more.
it.
Yes, he makes more money. You're right. Chad Henne has a better contract.
Oh my God.
That Cam Newton.
All right. Well, listen, that's our show for tonight. There was obviously some things to listen to, some to not, and we're gonna see who's right about all of this. Well, at least we're gonna see, how it plays out. It doesn't necessarily mean we were right, even if we end up being right. But this has been MFSN's Waiver Wires, the hub. No, did I say that right? No, I didn't. I said it completely wrong. I don't know what's going on tonight. You guys were arguing against me. I got all out of sorts. I'm just going to go
bye
retire
weeks.
now.
You're picking players with bye weeks.
It's all right.
Bye weeks.
Your hot take
I'm a
was so
mess.
hot that it burned the
You're a
whole
mess.
studio
This has
down.
been
It's not a hot
MFSN's
take.
The
Cutting
Hub.
Le'Veon Bell is a hot take. Right now,
This-
that's a hot take.
This is MFSN's
Just own it, man.
The Hub.
Just 'cause it's a hot
I'm
take.
Ross the
All right, I
Boss.
own it.
Enjoy
You know
that.
what? You're right. I own it. It was a hot take.
Yes.
Okay, this
Make
is
sure to
MFSN's The Hub.
subscribe. Yeah.
This is
You do it.
MFSN's The Hub. I'm Ross the Boss. Press the subscribe button. I'm not asking, I'm telling. And I love talking sports with you, Cowboy. We'll see you next week.
Lying with a blanket over my head, she asked if she could see who was under the blanket with me. I said, you don't want to find. It is Hideki Matsui and